I assert that if you're not in the present moment, you're running a program. And paying attention is being present. And it's a skill just like anything else. The more you practice it, the better you get at it. And you know when someone's present with you in your life because they're paying attention to you. And you know when they're not present with you because they're not paying attention to you. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So if you have all of your attention in the present moment, you're conserving a lot of energy to create with. If I'm talking to you and you're thinking about where you're gonna go for lunch and who you're gonna go with and how you're gonna get there, and I'm talking to you, you left the present moment and your attention went to some future. And your energy will go down and you won't be able to comprehend what I said. If you start thinking about what you should have said at the staff meeting 3 days ago, and I'm talking to you and your mind is back in the past, you're siphoning energy out of the present moment into the past. So people are constantly siphoning their energy into a familiar past or a predictable future because that's where their attention is. And the stronger the emotions that we feel to certain problems and conditions in our life, the more we pay attention to them. So we give our power away to our ex, we give our power away to that big problem, and that's creative energy that we should be able to use to create a new future.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because in my first business, I quit on my business partner. I was making $300 a month, and I didn't have the motivation to keep going. And the thing that got me through was studying the stories of entrepreneurs who've had massive success. And I hope that in sharing these stories with you, you find the motivation to keep going. And if I'm being honest, I still need the stories for myself today too. So today, let's learn from some of the best and pick up the great secrets from some great people. Enjoy.
When a person's sitting in a meditation and they're doing absolutely nothing, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and their body for the last 10 years has been going in traffic and getting angry and frustrated in traffic, and now they're sitting in a meditation at 8 o'clock in the morning, the body's gonna say, hey, you're off schedule. I'm used to suffering and getting angry here. Yeah. So the body's gonna start looking for that emotion, and it's gonna start influencing the mind, and you're gonna start getting images and memories, just so you could feel that emotion. Like now the person's back in the past, but if they become aware that they're siphoning energy out of the present moment into the past, and they settle the body back down into the present moment, that's a victory. Yeah. And those victories add up. And you're telling the body in that moment that it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind, and that's a victory. And then people get frustrated and they say, I can't meditate. Oh, really? Well, actually, you're doing it right. That's actually what meditation, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And then all of a sudden the body says, well, it's 8:15 now. This is when you normally, go get something to eat and you have your coffee and your body's starting to want to get up and do something. You become aware that your body wants to get up and move and you're in the meditation, and you tell your body, you bring it back to the present moment and you settle it back down. You are training the animal. That's a victory. Now you're executing a will that's greater than the program, because most people lose their free will to a program. Now you're telling the body, I'll tell you when we get up, not when you want to get up. You're not the mind, I'm the mind. And that's a victory. Now, we've done the research on this. If you keep doing this and you stay with it, sooner or later, the body's going to surrender to a new mind. And when that happens, Sean, there's a liberation of energy. The body is freed from those habituations and those emotions. The body's going from particle to wave, from matter to energy. And all of a sudden, you're dialing down the anger. You're dialing down the vigilance, and the body now is being conditioned to a new mind. That is the present moment. And when you're in that present moment, something really amazing happens. You forget about you. All of a sudden, you're not your face, you're not your culture, you're not your marital status, you're not your diet, you're not your past. You're basically just an awareness. You're in the unknown, and that is the perfect place to create from. So it turns out that when people do this properly, they heal themselves of anxiety. Why? Because they're no longer obsessing about some future. When they find the present moment, they heal from their depression because they're not a bit hopeless and powerless in their past. The body's conditioned now. And so then, when they overcome themselves in their meditation and they step out into their life, they are more present. They can connect. They are more patient. They are more loving because they overcome the animal part of themselves. And the beauty behind that is that all of a sudden, you're not predictable. All of a sudden, something's different about Sean. He's not, I'm noticing he's not behaving the same way. You're out of the known, right? You're in the unknown. And all of a sudden, people, it's no longer what you're saying to them. It's who you are. They're just kind of scratching their head going, hey, he looks like he's really happy. I want some of that. And now we're out of the philosophical, theoretical realm. We're in the practicum, which is where really the magic happens. So the eternal present moment, the sweet spot of the generous present moment is the place we create from. And when we're there, we disconnect from our bodies. We become nobody. We disconnect from people in our lives. We're not thinking about our ex or our boss. We are no one. We're not thinking about our cell phone, our computer. We are no thing. We are not thinking about where we live, where we work, where we sleep. We are nowhere. And we're not thinking about the predictable future and the familiar past. We're in no time. And when you're disconnecting or dissociating from everything known, you're in the unknown. And that's where the magic happens.
Secret number 2, believe with Tom Bilyeu.
Once you understand that you can choose to have faith that things are going to work, that you can believe in something long before you have the evidence for it, and you can believe in it because you know that's how the mind works, that we lead with belief. That's where humans generate their power. They don't generate it from seeing some evidence of something in the world. We generate our power by first believing that our efforts will be rewarded. You have to put that at the center of your being. And as Wayne Dyer said, be miserable or motivate yourself. Whatever has to be done is always your choice. So if you want to do something, recognize there's no obstacle holding you back other than what you choose to believe. And if you want to be miserable, it's going to be there for you. And if you want to be empowered, it's there for you. If you want strength, it is there for you. It's a decision. It's something that you decide to believe in, that you can get strong. And that ultimately is the ultimate strength, to believe that you can get better, to believe that you can become whatever you want to become. So choose optimism right now. Choose to let it fill you. Choose to feel it, to sit in that sensation that anything you set your mind to is possible. When you allow yourself to embody that, to believe it, no matter what anybody tells you, no matter how many people tell you that you're stupid, you're a failure, that you're never going to do anything, that you are going to believe in yourself. If you can do that, if you can choose that optimism, you can go anywhere because you realize everything you needed was in you all along. It was simply choosing to believe you could execute against it. So have that faith. Go out and do it.
Secret number 3, let go of your ego with Jay Shetty.
He sits down with me and he says, I think you'll be able to share what you've learned if you leave. You'll be able to share this with everyone if you leave. And I felt like it was his nice way of saying, you're not ready to be a monk, like get out of it. Right? That's how it felt. It felt like I'd failed, and it felt like he was like breaking up with me. Like I equated to a divorce. It was almost like him saying to me, it's not you, it's me, you know, it's not working out. Like it kind of felt like that. It wasn't disingenuous on his part. It was a reality check. It was a reality check that this wasn't going to last forever. It was one of the most toughest, humiliating, ego-bashing, crushing things that happened. Because here I was thinking, I'm going to be a monk, and I'm going to do this, and I've got all these plans. And then all of a sudden, 3 years on, all your plans have failed. I've got no money, I've rejected all my corporate job offers, and I moved back in with my parents 5 years ago with $25,000 worth of debt. So I moved back in with my parents, and I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? Like now I'm going to have to think about paying bills, and I'm going to have to think about, my parents aren't well off, so I didn't have anywhere to I had their home to hang out in, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'll just live with my parents for a bit, I'll figure it out. I was just like, I literally have nothing. Like if I don't figure this out, I'll be sleeping in my bedroom that I grew up in for the rest of my life, and that's it. Like that's life.
Sure.
So it was tough. It was the closest I've ever been to like a very low point, because your biggest dreams have just crushed. And I know no one can really understand my dream of becoming a monk, but you can equate it to, I don't know, playing in sports. Like I know for you it was like that, but whatever it is, music, it was like your biggest dream on the planet just comes crumbling down. And I felt it hurt, it really hurt. And it hurt the ego, because all my friends or family who I just about convinced that I was becoming a monk, when I was coming back, they were all like, well, I thought you were gonna be a monk, what are you doing? I had that moment where I had to decide. I was like, wait a minute, I've been taught how to deal with anxiety, pain, pressure, and everything as a monk. And for the first time in my life, I had to put it into like practice, but in like acceleration mode. So I ended up doing 2 things when I left. One thing was all my friends who work now at big companies, they were stressed out and hating their lives. And so they started to invite me to speak at their companies like Google and Starbucks, and they worked.
Tell us what you learned from being a monk.
Yeah, that's it. They were all working at these big brands, and they were like, Jay, come teach us what you've learned. So I started speaking at all these venues, and I loved it, and people were getting so much out of it, and I was like, wow, like my monk experience is really there to help so many people, and because I'm still living it, I can still give it, and all of a sudden, all of this environment had a meaning and purpose again, and I started to see what my teacher had said, that you're there to share this with people.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Secret number 4, surrender spiritually with Gabby Bernstein.
Any desire that we have that we strangle, we will block. You also have a desire that does involve another person very intimately, and he may not be there with you yet. So this is all the more reason for you to really settle down and step back and truly surrender. So while you may not have had the same story as me of really struggling to conceive, you're at a place of struggling to embrace or welcome or even agree to a third child. So the steps that I lay out in my Oprah Super Soul Sessions talk, the spiritual steps to surrender, are for anyone that is holding on to a desire so tightly that they think they're getting in the way of it. And the first step is to take your hands off the wheel through prayer. So let's do that today, right now. The secret to prayer is to forget what you think you need. When you start to pray for what's of the highest good rather than what you think you need, then the universe can take over. You are feeling the presence of a spirit baby. It's not just your longing, it's the baby's longing. So trust that. Talk to the baby, let the baby show you signs. Be in the inquiry of that relationship, even though it's not in form yet. But most importantly, right now, being in the prayer of what is of the highest good for all, for your husband, for you, for your children, for the baby. Because your plan is not a good plan, honey. Not you, everybody. Our plans are bullshit. The universe has a plan far better than we do.
Secret number 5, control your thoughts with Sadhguru.
You take away negative thoughts. Don't identify any thought as negative because it's just a thought. Who told you it's negative? It's just a thought. You're making it up, maybe you like it. What's the problem? If you understand it's just a thought, it has no power. If you think it's a reality, then it destroys you. It's just a thought, isn't it? Is it true that you made up the thought? No? You're having doubts about it because you are not thinking, you have a mental diarrhea happening. Yes, it's simply happening. The word thinking means you are exercising your thought process consciously, isn't it? Yes? Thinking means you are doing something consciously. Right now this is in a state of mental diarrhea, it's just pouring all the time. Now, what is negative about it, what is positive about it? What is negative is, it's happening unconsciously, that is what is negative, not the content. You thought about a devil, that's negative, you thought about a god, that is positive, there's no such thing. The most negative thing that's happening right now is it's happening unconsciously. That is what is negative about it. And a whole lot of people have destroyed themselves trying to stop those thoughts that they think are negative. And they try to fight them in so many different ways. You create these things and then you fight them. It's your thought. you must be able to throw it and roll it back whenever you want, isn't it? You must be able to roll it out and roll it in as you want. But right now, your own ghosts have become so big that you want to fight them. If you win, you're really lost. Because something that is not true, if you fight and win it, you have really lost it, isn't it? So there is no such thing as negative and positive thought. Either it's a conscious thought or it's a diarrhea. So, how to stop this? See, suppose you're having diarrhea, physical diarrhea. First thing to do is, every other treatment is next. First thing to do is stop eating bad food, isn't it? Something caused diarrhea. First thing is stop eating bad food, whatever caused this, stop that. This is the first thing you must do. Right now the bad food is just this. You identified yourself with something that you are not. Now you can't stop your thought process, do what you want. You do any mantra you want, think of any god you want, do whatever the hell you want. The moment you identify yourself with something that you're not, you cannot stop your mind.
And secret number 6, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is forgive with Tony Robbins.
Have you ever been stuck? Have you ever been in a place where you were frustrated, you're angry, you're sad, or you're worried, or you're stressed, and you just couldn't get yourself out of it? Usually that happens because there's a lack of forgiveness. What would happen if you just let go? And most of the challenges we have in our life are because we have unmet expectations. Listen, have you ever snapped at somebody unfairly and felt bad about it afterwards? It had nothing to do with them, it was just the state of stress you're in? It's not an excuse, but you understand. Well, then have you ever been snapped at? And remember that you've been a person who snapped too. We're all doing the best we can. And yes, that sometimes we're resourceful and things slow and sometimes not. So if you want an extraordinary life, you can't have a life filled with joy and gratitude and happiness and fulfillment if everyone has to behave a certain way, act a certain way, talk a certain way that meets your needs. Because here's the real truth. You usually are really not forgiving yourself. Because the truth of the matter is, we don't all live the way we think we should, act the way we should, work out the way we should, treat our kids every moment that we should, have the mental mindset that we should every moment. I don't, nobody does. And so the ability to just let go, that's all forgiveness is let go and let God, or let go and move on. Let go and let's move to something better. Give someone forgiveness, give yourself forgiveness. Just let it go. It's a gift you give yourself. It's this capacity to understand that resentment just destroys us. The person you hurt when you don't forgive is you. Mandela himself said, resentment is like drinking poison and then expecting your enemy to die. So could you choose right now to forgive someone for something? Could you just not have to wait for a perfect apology or perfect conditions or them to prove themselves? What if you were just magnanimous? What if the spirit of the holidays is really about that concept of whatever religion or whatever belief you have, that concept of just letting go and loving in spite of whatever behavior we have, because human beings are not their behavior. And instead of perfection, which no human being is, you are forgiving to yourself to say, hey, I learned and I grew. And the people around me are learning and growing. We're all here at Earth School together, figuring this stuff out. So here's my question. What could you let go of right now and free yourself? What wrong, what upset, what phrase, what behavior could you just truly give yourself the gift to free yourself of? And who else could you free? Would you set yourself free? And when would now be a good time to do it? If not in the holidays, then when? Give yourself a gift. Give the gift to someone today. Consciously, radically forgive. And no, you don't have to live in fear that it's going to happen again. We're all growing, we're all expanding, and each day is a new adventure in the exploring of what it means to be human. And the holidays are a time to maybe bring in some of the divine. Blessings to you.
Everyone has unresolved areas where they are out of alignment due to their upbringing, their belief systems from childhood, experiential belief systems, whatever has been imprinted. So some people might be health, some people it might be sex, some people it might be money, some people it might be their worth, some people might be all of the above, whatever. We've all got it. We've all got an area or many where we are misaligned with the feeling of love and abundance and grace. That's normal, that's natural, that's where it's at. And just because you fall into those belief systems and feel into that frequency from time to time doesn't mean that you are doing anything wrong. It's that your awareness of it is actually major, okay? So the undoing of the lack mentality is a journey of clearing the belief systems from a experiential time in your life, right? That happens once again through books like The Universe Has Your Back. So fantastic that you're doing that. Transform fear to faith. Excellent work. It comes through therapeutic practices like we've been talking about today. It comes through mental reconditioning. And here's the good news. We all have these conditioned neural pathways from the experiences that we've had as children, particularly young childhood experiences. But the good news is, thanks to neural plasticity, our brain actually can change. Our brain can reorganize. Our brain can become new. Our fight-flight responses can subside. Our PTSD can dissolve. Our lack mentality can turn into an abundance mentality. Our brain has the power to change. And so much of that change happens with the repetition of new behavior. So one thing that you can do simply in this moment is to notice when you are in that lack mentality. Notice how it makes you feel. Forgive the thought and choose again. And this is a method I've shared over and over and over again on this show, the choose again method. Because yes, I could say to all of you, go do 10 years of therapy, which everyone I hope will have the opportunity to do, whatever that form that comes. But what you can do for yourself, you're here for self-help. You're here for Gabby to tell me how I can serve myself. You can be in the proactive development of new thought patterns that feel better. Not thought patterns that you don't believe in, but thought patterns that make you feel better. So when you notice that lack story show up, step 1, notice the thought and how it makes you feel. Step 2, forgive yourself for having the thought. It's very simple. There's my childhood story. There's my parents' lack story again. There it is again. All right, I forgive myself. It just showed up again, because that forgiveness will dissolve that guilt and tension and fear that you're manifesting it, all that crap, right? Third step, choose the next best feeling thought. Choose the thought of, you know what, I just forgave myself for that thought, so I'm dissolving it in this moment. I actually am listening to The Universe Has Your Back, and it's so supportive. Then I can actually go and listen to Super Attractor. So you can go from thought to thought to thought to reach for the next best feeling thought. So your willingness to face this lack mentality is already activating abundance within you. Right. And especially if you're feeling afraid that you're manifesting things because you're having the thoughts, then just forgive the thoughts, or forgive yourself for having the thought. Because the moment that you say, I forgive myself for that thought, or I forgive that thought, it doesn't have power over you anymore, because you've recognized, I am not that thought. It's just a thought that I keep thinking. I am not that belief. It's just a thought that I keep thinking.
Your brain has evolved to be a thing. And there's a lot, rightly so, of focus in the popular zeitgeist around mindset about understanding the mind. And that is critically important. But so few people take the time to really understand what gives birth to the mind, which is your biology. And so understanding your mind within the context of evolution and the brain become critically important. And people that don't take the time to distinguish between the brain and the mind are doing themselves a disservice. I think much of what they go through is going to be, it's going to be surprising is what I was going to say, but the reality is what people end up getting stuck on is they confuse feeling with thinking. And the immediacy of feelings, the visceral nature of them, there's something about embedded in the way that we experience an emotion is this just screaming from our subconscious that this is real, this is true, this is like, this is it. This is the context. Everything you need to know, dear mind, is contained in this emotion. And it's really an interesting process that I think warrants a lot more thought on, certainly my part, and probably science's part, and for sure, any of you that are following along at home, a big part of what you should be thinking about is the nuance of how all of this comes into being and how emotions are. The great trick that they pull is they paint themselves to be self-evident. Thank you for letting me think in real time here. This is interesting. Emotions feel self-evidently right. I don't even want to say true, because true doesn't capture what's really going on. When I try to talk about the physics of being human, a big part of that is that sense that my reaction to this moment, to this event, does not strike me as a decision. It strikes me as self-evidently right because of the things that I feel. And I'm pretty sure that as we went through one of the classes, I read a quote by Thomas Sowell, which I'm going to paraphrase. And it's, the problem isn't that Timmy doesn't know how to read. The problem isn't even that Timmy doesn't know how to think. The problem is that Timmy doesn't know what thinking is. He confuses it for feeling. And we feel something. It feels so self-evidently right that this reaction that we're having is not an echo of biology and context and our own life experiences and a bazillion decisions about what to believe that we have made. It feels self-evidently the only logical way to react to this set of circumstances. And that is what leads people to spiral, because people have different reactions. They both think they are self-evidently right, and people spiral. And so now re-anchoring you guys back around this idea of, no, you have a goal. The only thing that matters is, will reacting the way that you're reacting take you towards that goal? And if we can all embrace this idea of fulfillment, that fulfillment is the goal, having a positive emotional state that is resilient to the ups and downs of life, because we have self-respect, self-worth, we're elevating ourselves, improving ourselves, and elevating, improving those around us. If that's our goal, and we can all buy into that, now we have a steering mechanism. And this is the thing that's crazy making for me in this, cultural upheaval that we're living through right now, which is people don't agree on what the goal is. And when you don't agree on what the goal is, now you have what Lisa and I call a collision of values. When you have a collision of values, either talk about the collision of values or shut the f up. Like, legitimately, those are your two options. Because option one, let's talk about the collision of values and like what should be the goal. Fruitful things can come out of that. Arguing about the tea, as Lisa and I call it, the biggest argument we ever had was over a cup of tea. Now you can imagine that doesn't make any sense. How could you ever get in a fight that large over a cup of tea? The answer is you can't, but you can get in an argument that big about a collision of values, which then attacks your sense of self, identity. There's this incongruous thing where your reaction feels self-evidently correct. And yet this person is acting in a crazy way, because the way that I feel, that is self-evidently correct. There's no need to even question it. It is obviously right. Now, you get these massive fireworks because the other person is thinking the exact same thing. They feel self-evidently correct because they have all these emotions that are kicked up by their biology, that is kicked up by millions of years of evolution, misinterpreted through this lens that we live in called life, in a modern context, completely removed from the evolutionary soup that our brains marinated in. Our brains marinated in as they were formed. And now all of a sudden, people cannot allow themselves to conceive that, oh, this emotion was a choice, which I have made somewhere through a string of the gazillion little moments that led up to right now in this moment. All of those decisions have formed a set of values, and those values are essentially invisible to me because I have mistaken them for truth. Therefore, my values become water, right? To the fish. Fish is the last one to know what water is. It's just, it permeates everything in their world. It just is. It's like us and air, right? That actually had to be discovered. Imagine the hundreds of thousands of years, like really think about how long, where you've got human level cognition as we think of it today, and yet there's no concept of I'm in this thing. It just, you're here. And values become that water. You don't even think about them. You don't think that they govern essentially every aspect of your life. And yet they do. And the failure to recognize that my values are not objectively real, they are simply choices that I have made invisibly based on all these emotions that I've gotten, which were kicked up to me by evolution. I don't understand them. I don't understand what drives them, but they feel self-evidently true. Therefore, I go with them. Therefore, however I feel, I confuse with thinking. And I think I've thought through the problem. I think I have articulated what my goal is and how I'm going to get there. But the reality is I've just been feeling this whole time. And chaos ensues.
So I get a call from one of my team members, and she's like, don't go on Facebook. I was like, what? And she's like, there's a whole person's Facebook page and they're railing on you and they're going off about you. And maybe like 30 people had chimed in being like, oh, you hate Gabby Bernstein? Thank God somebody's talking about it. Just like, going after me.
Yeah.
And while 30 people is a small number in the grand scheme of the universe, this feels really overwhelming. And even one person hating you on the internet can shake you to your core. Yes. So I do what anyone would do in that moment. And I start to go down that hole of shame and upset. And what did I do wrong? And how could I have triggered these people in this way? And what is my part? And just getting so hooked into it, even though, a lot of what was being said without any information. Right. But regardless, I didn't even need to dig into it to feel the feelings of discomfort. And I was getting really, really hung up about it. And it took, it was about a full day of just like being down and bummed out. And I remember I was watching television with my husband at night, and I was staring at my phone, just being like, did more people weigh in? Like, what's happening? Yeah. And he looked at me, he's like, what is going on? You can't even be present with me in this room. Why are you so stuck in this? And I was like, it feels so horrible to be, pounded on the internet. And I'm so upset about it. And he said, listen, you've got it all wrong, girl. This is what my husband became a guru. And he said, you are focusing all your energy on these 30 people who are hating you, but you have thousands of people on your DM on Instagram that are trying to send you love, that are asking you questions, that want your support, and you don't even know how to find your DM.
You and me were in the same boat for a long time. Horrible. Yeah.
And he's like, you don't even know how to find it. He's like, let me show you how to find your DM and focus on the people that need you, not on these people that are hating on you. So I spend the next 4 days just DMing. Like I went on my Instagram, I was like, yo, who wants to DM? Like, let's talk. And so I'm just like in it and just feeling so, like within 48 hours, I was just like so transformed by just being in the service of others and connecting to the people that really wanted to hear from me and wanted my support. And what happened that was so transformational was I woke up one morning a few days into this, and I woke up at like 5 a.m. and I was upset by still a little upset by this.
Yeah, the thought came right back in.
Oh, there they are. Why are they talking about me?
Of course.
And in that moment, I was like, okay, Zach said get on DM. So I get back on my DM and I start DMing, and I see this girl, and she's talking to me, and she's saying, listen, I was sober for 2 years. I just went out. I feel like I want to commit suicide right now. I start DMing with her. Within the hour, I'm on the phone with her. And that day, she made a commitment to go back to recovery. So I have deep gratitude for those haters, because those haters gave me this beautiful opportunity to be of service to somebody and potentially save her life, and also just get over it.
Every one of us is 100% self-disciplined already to our current thought patterns, emotional patterns, and behavioral patterns, which obviously are responsible for our results. So my question for you today is this: do you have the right disciplines? Do you have the right disciplines to set goals, create plans, and achieve them? Do you have the right disciplines to prime your brain with your vision, your goals, and your plans for the day every day? Do you have the right discipline to review your day at the end of the day to see what did you do well? What could be tweaked so that tomorrow is even better? Do you take time on Sunday nights for maybe 30 or 40 minutes to plan your week so that you're not reacting to stuff, but you're planned, you're organized, you're in action that's deliberate versus reactive? That's another discipline. Do you take time every month to review your month? Do you take time every quarter to review your quarter? Do you take time at the end of each year to review the whole year and then to plan your vision for the next year, your goals for the next year? Now, these little disciplines are what I call keystone disciplines, or keystone behaviors and habits that set you up for success. And so I like to consistently ask myself, do I have the right keystone habits, the big things, that swing, the little hinges that swing the big doors? So a couple things I can tell you that really work for me is taking the time to think, to plan, to review my results, and in a state of no blaming myself, no shaming myself, no feeling guilty, no justifying, no wishing I wish it was different or better or this or that, just in a pure state of awareness, I tweak and adjust and tweak and adjust and tweak and adjust and tweak and adjust. And here's what happens. What you'll discover is you're gonna be on course a lot of the time. You're gonna be off course some of the time. But when you take the time to recognize if your thoughts are aligned with your vision and your goals, are your emotions, your things that cause you to take action are not aligned with your vision and goals, are the behaviors that you're taking aligned with achieving those goals? Now, when you're in a constant state of review, tweak, adjust, behave, review, tweak, adjust, behave, that is a self-disciplined action and habit that will lead you to achieve every one of your health, wealth, relationships, career, business, charitable, every goal you have. The how to achieve the goal is the easiest part. Getting yourself to take the inspired action because you have a big reason why you must is really what you need to work on, because we all are going to have challenges. We're going to have failures. We're going to have days we feel like on top of the world, and other days we feel like, oh man, I just don't even feel like getting out of bed. That's okay. That's normal. That's called being human. But if you have the self-discipline to get up and do a little bit, to get up and adjust and tweak, then you win the game more than you lose the game. Think about athletics for just a moment. To make it into the Hall of Fame, for example, in baseball, you will not hit 3 out of 10 balls. You will not hit them. You will not get on base. That means you're failing, so to speak, 7 out of 10 times. But to make it to the Hall of Fame, the best of the best, all you need to do is get on base 3 times. So a lot of people have a misunderstanding of success, and that is that you succeed every single minute, every single hour, every single day. And that's not true. Right? The most successful people in the world are consistently taking action, making sure that it's the right action. If it's not, they adjust. So have the self-discipline to not blame, shame, justify, or make yourself feel guilty. Have the self-discipline to create the plans, take inspired action, manage your thoughts, get into the right state, the physiology, the feelings that you need in order to achieve your goals and dreams. Take inspired action daily. And don't focus on perfection, focus on a little bit of progress every single day.
Your personality, literally, Ed, is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is your personality, and your personality is intimately connected to your personal reality, your life. So then if you want to change your life, your personal reality, you got to change your personality. And here we go again. You got to start becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts. You got to start noticing how you act, how you speak. You got to pay attention to how you're feeling. Some people would live in guilt their whole entire life and don't even know it's guilt because at least it feels like them. So then when you start doing that, you begin to objectify your subjective self. So then when you begin to make small changes, back to thought, a new thought should lead to a new choice. A new choice should lead to a new behavior. A new behavior should create a new experience, and a new experience should create a new emotion. And that new emotion is teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. Now your body is embodying the truth, right? So then the new emotion should inspire new thoughts, and that's called evolution. So how do we get stuck? It's really simple. The stronger the emotion you feel from some event in your life, be it a betrayal or a trauma or whatever, the more altered you feel inside of you, the more you pay attention to the cause outside of you. So the brain takes a snapshot. It freezes an image and embosses that pattern neurologically in the brain. That's called a memory. So we create long-term memories from strong emotional events, okay?
So is that true? That I just want to understand. Maybe the larger the event in terms of its emotion to you, the stronger of a hold it has over you?
Yeah, well, the more it's embossed in your biology. So certain people have a strong experience in their life, and it catches all of the brain's attention. So now they think neurologically within the circuits of the past experience, and they feel chemically within the boundaries of those emotions. And so how you think and how you feel creates a state of being. Now here's the problem, that if you don't know how to mediate or control your emotional reaction to that event, and you keep that refractory period of chemicals going on for extended periods of time, so that the event produces a chemical change, and the body needs to return back to homeostasis or balance. But if it can't, then the elongation of that emotional reaction for weeks, say, for days or weeks, is called a mood. So you say, Ed, what's wrong with you? I'm in a mood. Why are you in a mood? Well, this thing happened to me 5 days ago, and I'm having one long emotional reaction. So then what you do is you keep telling the story about it, keep firing and wiring the same circuits, and you keep conditioning the body into the past. So then you wake up in the morning, you look for the emotion. So then now, all of a sudden, you keep it lingering for weeks or months. That's called the temperament. Well, why is he so angry? I don't know. Let's ask him. Why are you so angry? Well, this thing happened to me 8 months ago. I'm having one long emotional reaction. I'm memorizing my emotions. You keep it going on for years on end. That's called a personality trait. So then a person then is memorizing themselves by living in the past. And so then you say to them, well, tell me the story. Now, the latest research on memory says that 50% of what we talk about in our past isn't even the truth. So we make stuff up about the past. In other words, people are reliving a life that they didn't even have just to reaffirm that they can't change, right? So then what's the significance of this? Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Period. So then the stronger the emotion that you have to some problem or condition or person in your life, the more you're paying attention to them. So they captured your attention. So you're giving your power away to that person, right? Because they're capturing your attention. So then there's an energetic connection to every person, everything in your past, present reality has your energy connected to it. So now, this is the significance. When a person really decides to be defined by a vision of the future instead of the memory of the past, the hardest part about it is all of a sudden becoming conscious and not making the same unconscious choice. So then, if you lower the volume to your frustration, to your hatred, to your anger, if you truly knew how to do that, if you lowered the volume to that emotion, you would take your attention off that person, which means you would begin to break those energetic bonds, and now you're taking your power back. You're calling energy back to you, and we've measured this, and all of a sudden it builds this bigger electromagnetic field around the person's body. That's energy to heal. That's energy to create a new future with, right? And then if you didn't want to lower the volume to the emotion, then just take your attention off the person. And every time you take your attention off the person, if you became conscious of that, you wouldn't feel the emotion. Now the body, though, has been addicted to that emotion because you're using that person to reaffirm your addiction to hatred or frustration. And if that person died, you'd find another one. So then here you go now. So now you're in a position now where you begin to lower the volume to that emotion, and the body's going, wait a second, you've been doing this for the last 20 years, and all of a sudden you're just going to stop hating? And the body says, well, I've been conditioned this way, and conditioning is based on the past. So when the body feels the lack of that emotion, just like a drug addict, it says, hey, you're off schedule here. So now the body starts influencing the mind to think about experiences that are embossed in the brain that are based on that emotion. So the emotion now is causing you to think in the past. If we teach a person then how to trade that frustration or that hatred for an elevated emotion, and they'll say, yeah, but you know, it was my ex's fault, or I got betrayed by my partner in business. Yeah, we know that. Okay, so let's take your partner in business or take your ex, let's duct tape them, put them in a cannon and shoot them to the moon. Now what are you gonna do? Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, you gotta reckon with yourself and change, right? So then, teach a person then how to trade that emotion for an elevated emotion. Now,
trade the emotion for an elevated emotion.
Right. So you're going to give that up, and you're going to practice feeling gratitude as an example.
Yes.
And the person says, well, I can't feel gratitude. And I say, absolutely you can, because you don't practice feeling it. You practice spending most of your time feeling hatred and frustration. So now it's going to take a little time to cause that heart of you to bloom, or your heart of yours to bloom. Once they're able to feel even the smallest measure of gratitude, where they start feeling appreciation, thankfulness, gratitude, it's emotional signature. When you get something, when you're receiving something, when something has happened to you, or when something is happening to you, you say thank you because you're receiving something. So the emotional signature of gratitude means the event has already happened or it's happening to you. So the moment you open your heart and you feel gratitude, well, that emotion then is telling the body that the experience has already occurred. And the thought then can make it into the body because it's consistent with the thought. So now you're beginning to program the autonomic nervous system into a very specific destiny. You got to maintain that modified state of mind and body your entire day, independent of the conditions in your outer environment, independent of your body's cravings of those emotions and habituations, and independent from time. And if you can, get ready, because something weird or unusual, some synchronicity, some coincidence, some opportunity is going to land in your lap. And you didn't have to go and get it.
Yes.
It came to you. Now you're the vortex of creation. So if you say to me, well, I was feeling gratitude, but then there was traffic, or my coworker sent me a nasty email, then I would say, oh my God, you mean you're allowing your environment, your outer environment, to control how you feel and think? You're back to the unconscious program that you're the victim to your life.
You got it.
But when you start producing those outcomes in your life, you're going to pay attention to what you did inside of you, and you're going to believe more that you're the creator of your life and less of the victim of your life.
You have to be all in, and it's the hardest thing to do, because if it fails, then you can feel like a failure. I think of this idea of performance necessity. Two stories kind of come to mind. One is I was working with an Olympic gold medalist sprinter, and we're in the tunnel and we're going out, and he's talking about the competition, and we get out to the blocks, and I said, he was really worried about the competition. I said, well, how do you even gauge, like, who's going to win? In his particular race, people are winning, but by 1/100th of a second, tenths of seconds. I mean, these are really close sprints. And I said, well, how do you know? I said, who would you even bet on? And he says, I would bet on the guy who gets down at the blocks, gets himself settled, looks at the finish line, then says, I got to do this for my mom. And I was like, ooh, that's good. His performance necessity in that is, it's necessary for him to win that race for his mom. I think of, when I started my career, and I really decided to go all in with writing and online training. This is like 2006. I'd gone broke, completely bankrupt, and failed. I left my corporate job. I had this cushy kind of corporate job as a consultant. Good job. Left it to write. And I didn't know how to make it as a writer. I wanted to do seminars and workshops, didn't know how to do that. So I was pretty much a hot mess, ran out of money. I got nothing to my name, nothing, no positive prospects. No one's calling me except the guys who want the money. And one night I'm writing, and the apartment was so small, on the bed I had all, my bills, my vision boards, all my research, all my journals. Like the bed was basically the desk, the extended desk. And my lady comes in, Denise, and she walks past me, but she sees I'm like trying to write. So she doesn't want to disturb me. She crawls under the covers of the bed. And I'm just typing, kind of casually typing away. And I look over and I see my woman sleeping under my bills.
Wow.
And it was just like, because none of us want to see our family suffer because we are not performing.
Sure.
And I was just like, I gotta figure this out. And I'm telling you, I wrote more that night than any night in my entire life. Next day I wrote more than ever. That birthed Life's Golden Ticket, which became a bestseller. And in 18 months later, because I was like, I'm gonna figure out this online thing, I'm gonna figure out marketing, I'm gonna figure out how to teach, I'm gonna figure out how to train and get paid for it, because I'd never really been paid for those things. I said, I'm gonna figure out this industry and I'm gonna make it. 18 months later, after her crawling under the bills, I made $4.6 million
Jesus.
online. Total transformation. People are like, how did you do it? I'm like, she was my necessity. I was not going to let my woman be in that situation. And she believed in me. She supported me. She married me. And, but she was my drive. And the second part was I went all in with my identity. I said, I am going to be a great writer, and I am going to be one of the greatest online trainers there ever was. As you said in the intro now, we've graduated over 2 million people have taken our online courses and video series now. I don't think it would have happened if I hadn't had the guts and maybe no other choice to say, this is who I'm going to be, and I'm going to build into that. And it is necessary for me to become that person. So let's go.
Your challenges don't only make you stronger, they allow you to serve better. I think the default answer for a lot of people is that your challenges make you stronger. Your challenges will, to grow muscle, you have to break your muscle first. And all of these obstacles that are put in your way allow you to have a better life. They're making you stronger. They're making you more powerful. And that's all true, yes. And the thing that helps me the most is just tying it back to service. Because I think, humans are built to serve. You are built to serve. When you can connect the challenge that you're going through as something that's then going to inspire and help other people, at least for me, it always gives me a lot more strength and a lot more courage to do the thing that I need to do, as opposed to it just being about me getting stronger. I find a lot of times me getting stronger is not enough. It's not enough of a reason compared to it's going to help somebody else as well. So, if that's you, hope this video helps you as well. So I think about when I was doing my tour 2019 and I broke my neck. It was one of the most challenging times in my life, in that it's already hard enough. I'm already, on the road. We're quarter of the year on the road, 90 straight days, me, Nina, my cameraman, Danny. And there were a lot of challenges in making that whole tour happen, and new city every 4 days, and all of the stuff that goes into, it was my first ever tour. And then I broke my neck 2/3 of the way through. So as if things weren't hard enough, now I break my neck. I can't drive anymore. I'm in insane amounts of pain. I have a concussion, and I'm still making videos. I struggled with the decision. This is a real decision. Do I quit the tour or not? Do I quit the tour? Do I go home? There's still another month on the road. It's not just me, it's also Nina, who has to do a lot more work now. She's got to drive this giant Suburban across the country. Danny, the camera guy, has to do a lot more work. It's a lot of stress. I'm basically out of commission, and all I could do was talk, which is great for speaking, but sucks for everything else. So what do? The thing that made me want to at least try to keep going, I didn't know that I would go for another month, but I thought, let's just do the next city. Let's just do the next city. Let's go to Kansas City. Kansas City was the next stop. Let's go to Kansas City and see what happens. What got me through it was thinking about somebody in the audience, thinking about one of you guys who is struggling with something physically. Up until that point, I dealt with a lot of mental issues, mindset issues. Things like believing you're not good enough, lack of self-worth, you don't have a message to share, imposter syndrome, all of those things, right? Even here, we're filming, and we're about to go through a car wash. We're next, so we're probably gonna get some crazy noise. I have to talk loud. I used to be so worried about that stuff that I wouldn't film. Like, oh, I can't film going to a car wash, you know, the noise, whatever. Now I look at it as opportunities. Like, let's go. Like, that's not a good enough reason. Maybe the video quality sucks. I hope not. Maybe you can't hear me loud enough. I hope not. But not letting those things get in your way, because that stuff happens all the time. You know, like that stuff happens all the time. And look, we're next. You guys can see it says car wash. We're next, depending on how long that guy ahead of us takes. You might see it in this video. I dealt with a lot of those mindset issues, those lack of belief issues, those worthiness issues, and I battled them, and I've been through them, and have a few lessons to share. And over the years of me trialing and failing, and 20 plus years of doing this, my hope is to make the path a little bit easier for you, so that you don't have to struggle as much as I did. The path can be a little bit sooner, a little bit faster, a little bit less painful, right? But I'd never been through anything really physical. I've broken my toe. I remember breaking my toe and then going for a run, and I was doing an Instagram live at the time. It was like a light run, fast jog, and my toe was hurting so much, and I just kept powering through it. Then later realized I broke my toe, but that's not really anything major, right? For somebody who's going through something physical and major, it's like, you broke your toe, come on, it's not a big deal. And so I never felt like I could serve or push people who had a physical limitation, had a physical kind of injury, because I'd never gone through it, and I don't feel right pushing people on things that I haven't experienced in some form myself, right? So here I am, 2019, now I break my neck. Now I'm having a concussion. I'm in more pain than I've ever been in my life. Concussion, if you haven't been through it, is just devastating, because it's not just the physical pain of not being able to move your body and, neck, and potential having spinal surgery, which is crazy scary, but also not being able to think clearly. For me, I value that a lot. Like, I love thinking, I love problem solving, and not being able to think clearly and just be a vegetable on the couch all day was devastating. So getting through that, and then deciding I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna at least try for the next stop in Kansas City. Why? Because if I can get through this, yes, it's a challenge that will teach me and make me stronger, and I have a lesson that I can learn from it. But if I can get through this, then hopefully it can serve as an inspiration for other people who are going through something physical as well. That it's not just a mindset issue, but they have physical limitations. The first night in the hospital, I was, a train wreck. Then I came home and to our Airbnb, they let me out of the hospital. And I remember two specific moments. One, trying to get into the car. So we're at the hospital, I get discharged, I'm excited, go home, fresh air, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And I have this neck brace on, I can't move, I have very low flexibility, and I'm now the passenger. I'm not allowed to drive because I can't turn my head. So Nina has to drive. And I'm in the parking lot of the hospital, and I'm trying to get into the passenger side. I'm in the passenger seat right now in my car. I'm trying to get into the passenger side of the car, and I can't. And it hurts too much. And I get to the point where I have one foot in the car and one foot out of the car. And it's a Suburban, so it's this giant step up to get in. And I remember I was in so much pain that I couldn't go forward into the car. I didn't have the strength. And every time I lifted off, it killed everything in my body. The whole, all my back up into my neck, everything was in massive pain. But I also couldn't get back down, because that was hurting too much too. So I was stuck in this limbo of I can't go forward, I can't go back. Nina's trying to, push me up to get me in. And then I remember just crying. I'm in the parking lot of we're going to the car wash. I'm in the parking lot. I'm gonna have to talk louder. I'm in the parking lot of the hospital, and I'm crying out of frustration. And I can't remember the last time I was that frustrated that I just broke down and cried. And I didn't know what to do next. Everything hurt. I can't move forward. I can't move backwards. I'm just overwhelmed by pain and frustration, and I'm crying in the parking lot of the hospital. Eventually, Nina just pushes me in. One hand on each butt cheek, and like, in you go. And I got in, and it hurt, but then I was in. And that was just an overwhelming moment. And then I remember that night, here we go, car wash. That night, it was, I mean, I can't sleep. It's terrible. I've got, neck brace on. I'm not used to sleeping with it. I'm in massive pain, and it's 3 a.m, and I have to go to the bathroom. And so I'm sitting, I can get myself to sit up. They taught me in the hospital how to push yourself from lying down to sitting up. Ooh, look, look at the foam. Look at that, guys. How to go from lying down to sitting up without hurting yourself too much, like minimizing the pain as much as possible. So they taught me how to do that. So 3 a.m, I have to go to the bathroom. I get up, I push myself into the seating position. I'm starting to feel dizzy. I have a concussion, right? I'm starting to feel dizzy. I can't see anything because it's really dark. And I'm worried that if I stand up, I might fall over. How I got the concussion was I fainted. I fainted, hit my head on the wall, and then cracked the back of my neck open. I'm worried that if I stand up, I might faint and I might fall over again. And Nina's asleep next to me. Look at this. Were you sleeping on the floor? Nina's joining in. Nina,
Yeah.
you were on the bed.
I was sleeping on the floor.
Were you on the floor?
That will wake you up.
She was afraid she was gonna wake me up. I mean, bless Nina's heart. I mean, she had no sleep during this whole time too, right? So she's asleep. It's 3 a.m, and I don't want to wake her up. One, because I feel bad for her because she hasn't slept at all, but also I feel helpless. I feel so helpless that I'm in all this pain, and I can't even go to the bathroom by myself. Like, I need help to go to the bathroom. I felt so helpless, and I said it's not worth it for me to get up and potentially, like, if I fall, that's no bueno, right? I'm back to the hospital probably if I fall. So I wake up Nina, and I mean, it may not seem like a big deal, but it felt like a big deal. Like, I felt just helpless. And so I woke her up. She helped me go to the bathroom, and I did my business and went back to sleep. But those 2 moments in particular were the most painful moments of that whole experience. It's the best. And the thing that got me through it, the thing that gave me the motivation, was that hopefully somebody else who's going through some kind of painful moment right now will be able to resonate with this and be inspired by this. Whether it's actually true or not, it was a story that I was telling myself. I told myself somebody's going to be inspired by this. And I still made videos, and my next round of videos, I couldn't do the whole thing. So Nina did some of it, I did some of it. And I'm sitting there, I'm now overweight because I haven't been able to work out. I haven't been eating as clean as I was normally. I got a giant scab. If you look at some of those old videos, I had this huge scab on my forehead. Again, normally, like, oh my gosh, I got this giant scab on you might be worried about a little pimple. I got this giant scab coming down my forehead. I look like Harry Potter. The thing that gets me through it is other people who have some kind of issue, like they're having a bad hair day or a pimple on their face, might be inspired by this to go and take action. What? Nina has a pimple on her. You want to show everybody your pimple on your forehead? Again, whether it's true or not, it was a story that I was telling myself that somebody else is going to be inspired by this, and it's going to allow them to go and do their thing. Now, fast forward, we make the videos, we release the videos. A lot of people were inspired by it. A lot of people did message me, DM me, email me, tell me in future interviews, I was telling myself I couldn't do this because of X, because I had a headache. And here you are doing your videos with a concussion, giant scab on your face, neck brace, in massive pain, breaking your neck. And I told myself, I have no excuse. I'm going to go do my thing because Evan did his thing. But again, whether it was true or not, the thing that got me to get through the challenge in a way that I'm proud of myself for was the connection to service. That it's not just here to make me stronger, which it did. It made me incredibly, like, I can't believe I did that. That guy is still in me, that I could go and do that again. Hopefully don't break my neck again, but I could do that. It made me stronger, but even more valuable is me feeling like this is gonna mean something to somebody else. So whatever challenge you're going through, understand that yes, you know, your purpose comes from your pain. This will make you a better person. But the thing that will help you get through it, at least from my experience, is connecting to somebody else. That there are tons of people out there who are also struggling with the same thing that you are struggling with right now. And when you get through it, your story will be an inspiration for them. Your journey through it will motivate them to have the courage to show up for their lives as well. And when you can actually connect it to service, I think everything is better. You are built to serve. Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. Now it's time to watch the most eye-opening 60 minutes of your life. Check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Here's the hard truth about getting great. It takes time and dedication. It takes a willingness to accept that you're not yet good enough. It takes the ability to stare at the places